So let's listen to what this guy, this is like one of these ignoramuses, and he says, he affirms the Islam of mushriks who pray to dead saints and mocks those who takfir them. This is the same guy who said that believing imams control the universe isn't kufr, only backtracking after criticism. He doesn't know the basics of tawheed. So then this is the clip. An Ash'ari is a proper Sunni. They're not Ahlul Sunnah, they're deviants. If you're Ash'ari or Maturidi, and you might even be kafir. You might be even a kafir. If you do something like tawassul, or you believe in tawassul or istighatha, then actually you're a mushrik kafir and we denounce you and we do takfir of you. The Salafis, like this is the level of sectarian brain rot. Istighatha. Like this is the level of sectarian brain rot. He got me. Oh, what a mistake. I mock those who are doing takfir of anyone who doesn't say that istighatha is shirk. The majority of Sunnis don't say that istighatha is shirk. Okay, so have the majority of Sunnis fallen into kufr according to you? So then now look at what he's saying. He's saying that since you have mocked those who don't do takfir, you have fallen into kufr, meaning you are a kafir. And this is what he cites. He cites Sheikh Fawzan. It's obligatory for you to takfir who Allah has takfir, to those who commit shirk in Allah.
إنني براء مما تعبدون إلا الذي فطرني فإنه سيهدين. أو صحح مذهبهم، هذه أشد. إذا صحح مذهبهم هذه أشد، لأن يقول هل يعملون إنما هو شرك، هذا إنما هو اتخاذ وسائل، أو يقول هؤلاء جهال.
Yeah, so there's no udhr, there's no excuse that you can give. No, this is not allowed. Just because you can't give udhr to mushrikeen. Like the pagan Quraysh, you can't give them an excuse and say, no, they're actually believers. Because many of them did believe in Allah. Most of them. They believed in Allah, but they thought that there were these other gods. They did shirk with Allah with these other gods. But there's no udhr to say that, no, they can be believers. No, whoever doubts the shirk of the mushrikeen is himself a kafir. That's what he's saying. So if you think that istighatha is allowed, well, istighatha is shirk. Therefore, if you doubt that istighatha is allowed, you're also a kafir. So this is the analogy. This is the qiyas that he's making and the followers of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab make.
وقعوا في هذا الأمر عن جهل ويدافع عنهم، هذا أشد كفرا منهم، لأنه صحح مذهبهم، صحح الكفر.
So you're even worse than a mushrik. You're even worse than the pagans because you're actually trying to justify, or you're trying to make it seem okay. So if you don't do takfir of those who do istighatha, you're actually worse than a mushrik. So I'm worse than a mushrik according to this clown.
صحح الشرك.
Okay, so this is Daniel falls into kufr. Daniel falls into kufr. So look at how I play games with these idiots. Okay, so the first thing, I mean, this is a side point, but I say, you're doing takfir. Because I try to get this guy, because he's a bootlicker. He's like a card-carrying bootlicker medkhali. Never criticize the rulers, guys. Never criticize the rulers for Halloween and for building temples. So I pressed him and I said, hey, well, what about building a Hindu temple like what has been done in the UAE? Is building a Hindu temple falling into kufr and shirk? And his response is like, yes, yeah, if you built a temple, Hindu temple, yeah, that is shirk, that is kufr. And then this is their game. They don't say specifically the ruler. They don't criticize the ruler by name specifically. Why? Oh, because that makes you a khariji. That makes you a khariji, and then you can be, your blood is halal to be killed. So when it comes to, so I said, like, he said, no, I don't do individualized takfir. I don't do individualized takfir, guys. So I'm not going to talk about the ruler. I'm not going to talk about the ruler. So I say, well, you accuse me of falling into kufr, and you put this video of Sheikh Salih al-Fawzan saying that whoever denies that istighatha is shirk himself is worse than a mushrik. So that sounds pretty much like you're doing individuals takfir of me. But I say, okay, whatever. Okay, I'm not asking you to takfir MBZ, the ruler of the UAE. Just say that he's fallen into kufr. Say that he's falling into kufr for building the Hindu temples, bringing the idols into the temples, inviting the Hindus and other mushriks to come worship in the temples, as the government there does. Just say that he's fallen into kufr. And no response. No response. And then when he's pressed, no, I said it's kufr. I said it's shirk. I said, no, you didn't say he specifically has fallen into kufr. You haven't said he specific. You can say that about Daniel. So don't play this card, oh, I don't do individualized takfir. Okay, I'm not asking you to do takfir, even though that seems to be what you imply, that I'm a kafir and I'm actually worse than the mushrikeen. That seems to be your implication in the video that we just watched. Okay, don't say that about MBZ. I haven't actually built any Hindu temples, by the way. MBZ has. Just say the same thing about him that you said about me. If you're consistent, if you care about Aqidah so much, Aqidah is so important, then just say about your beloved ruler, say the same thing about him that you said about me. You don't have to do takfir. Just imply it. Just imply it like you did for me. But he can't do it. Oh, you can't do it? Is that because you're a grifter? Is that because you don't actually care about aqidah? You don't care about tawheed? You don't care about what is shirk and not shirk? You just are grifting online and pretend like you're this, oh, such a strong aqidah warrior. We're so principled. We have to rid the ummah of shirk. We have to rid the ummah of shirk, except one of the main sources of normalizing this batil and normalizing this kufr and shirk, the major institutions that you're affiliated with, at least ideologically aligned with, these institutions in the Gulf, they're the ones who are normalizing and promoting Vision 2030 and the secularization of the Muslim world. Your movement, your entire ideology is associated with them, but you have a blind eye. You can only criticize Daniel and you can only criticize other Sunnis or even Shia. That's all you can do. Don't you think that you discredit yourself? Don't you think you look stupid? Like you look foolish? You look like you're a hypocrite? Don't you realize that? Realize that that's how you look and that you're like bleeding support every single day because of this double standard, and you're basically following this path of irrelevance because of such a clear double standard. So that was the first shot. And then I had a longer response. I said that, okay, according to this idiot, this sectarian, I have fallen into kufr because I do not automatically takfir anyone who doesn't believe tawassul and istighatha are shirk. That was the issue. That was the main issue, right? Because look at the clip that he put of Sheikh Fawzan. Sheikh Fawzan says you're worse than a mushrik if you don't condemn the shirk of the one who says istighatha is allowed. So it's not enough to refrain from doing istighatha yourself. I don't do istighatha. It's not enough to deem istighatha to be haram. I deem istighatha to be haram. It's not enough. It's not even enough to deem istighatha to be the door to shirk or even actual shirk, which is my position. Even that is not enough. None of these are sufficient to prevent you from falling into kufr, according to these sectarians. You must also take the additional step of automatically takfiring anyone who does istighatha or considers istighatha permissible. Anything less than this means you have fallen into kufr and you may be a kafir yourself. This, of course, means that the vast majority of Sunni scholars historically have fallen into kufr and may be kafir. The vast majority, basically everyone except Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, are kafirs, and they're even worse than kafirs. They're worse than the mushrikeen. Because they don't do this auto takfir, they have udhr. They give excuses. Even if they hold the position that it's shirk, they still don't do auto takfir. This, now I wonder what these sectarians would say about Imam Ahmad, who is reported to have actually done istighatha himself. Ibn Hussein, a slightly less ignorant member of the Tard crew, very slightly less, as we'll see, openly admits Imam Ahmad did istighatha, calling out to unseen beings other than Allah for help. And we'll look at the narration. Ibn Hussein does all kinds of mental gymnastics to avoid takfiring Imam Ahmad. He remarks that Imam Ahmad should be excused for ignorance because he was acting on an allegedly weak hadith that permits istighatha. Oh, so now excuses are allowed. Now we can do excuses because Imam Ahmad is calling out to unseen entities other than Allah. So, according to the logic of that other guy, this proving something guy, Ibn Hussein has fallen into kufr because he hasn't automatically takfired Imam Ahmad. That's the logic, right? That's the logic. Imam Ahmad did istighatha to other than Allah. So, and by the way, it's hilarious that this clown cites Sheikh Fawzan. Sheikh Fawzan even refuses to openly takfir the Nusayri Bashar al-Assad. So Bashar al-Assad is an Alawi, and Fawzan was asked about Assad specifically by name, and Fawzan didn't do takfir. And by the way, Alawis believe that Imam Ali, they say that Imam Ali is the physical manifestation of God on earth. So this is clear kufr, and they're not Muslim. But Sheikh Fawzan, oh, you can't say that Assad or Alawis are kuffar when he's asked about it. So how seriously can you take his views on Istighatha and that video that I played? The reason why I laugh in my Haqiqatjou video when I talk about extreme Salafi sectarian is that they're a group of intelligence operatives, they're ex-crackheads and gullible idiots. That's real, by the way. Most of these influencers have fallen into drugs and crime, and that's why they get picked up for reduced sentences to be shills for this project. When it comes to extreme sectarian Salafis, they're all grifters. They claim to be followers of Imam Ahmad and Ibn Taymiyyah, but anyone who studies these figures know that all of this is a lie. As we'll see later in the episode, they're simply followers of government-approved Saudi scholars whose primary influence is Ibn Abdul Wahhab, a figure who is far more willing to takfir others than Imam Ahmad and Ibn Taymiyyah. And this is from Ibn Hussein's website. And this is the narration. Abdullah, the son of Imam Ahmad, said, I heard my father say, I performed Hajj 5 times, twice riding and 3 times walking, or twice walking and 3 times riding. I lost my way during one Hajj and I was walking, so I began to call out, O slaves of Allah, show me the way. I kept doing that until I found the road, or as my father had said. So he's calling out to the slaves of Allah. He's doing istighatha. So these guys, these clowns said that istighatha to other than Allah, clearly shirk. And whoever does it is a mushrik, and whoever doubts the shirk of the one who does it is also a kafir. Okay, so Ibn Hussein doesn't do takfir of Imam Ahmad on his website. So I guess Ibn Hussein has fallen into kufr, right? Has Imam Ahmad, okay, fine, you don't want to takfir Imam Ahmad, but did he do shirk? Did he do shirk in this? So now they have this dilemma. Now they have this dilemma, and I'm sure that many of these clowns were not aware of this narration. They're not aware of this narration. And they have like what Ibn Hussein says that, oh, Imam Ahmad made a mistake. This was he was just following a hadith. He was following a hadith that was weak or was actually not authentic, and he followed it. That's why. So he has an excuse, and it's just based off of ignorance. You're calling Imam Ahmad ignorant? You're saying that Imam Ahmad was ignorant? So that doesn't really work. That doesn't really work. You have to say that Imam Ahmad didn't know enough about Tawheed to know that you shouldn't call out to angels, or you shouldn't call out to unseen beings and ask for guidance. Imam Ahmad didn't really understand Tawheed to the same extent that you understand Tawheed. So this becomes a huge dilemma for their entire position. I think it really destroys their entire position. In the sense of saying that this is 100% shirk in all cases, and it's no different than the shirk of the pagan worshipping to Brahma or Lat and Uzza. It destroys that. And so the rest of what follows is just them coping, them making statements, and then backtracking. So let's look at that. So one person that came out and wanted to educate me says, a lot of false claims being made here. Istighatha in the linguistic sense merely means to seek help in whatever form it is. That obviously isn't the issue at hand when it comes to Imam Ahmad. Istighatha in the technical sense means to seek a form of supernatural help which is outside of the ability Allah has placed within the creation. Imam Ahmad didn't do istighatha in the technical sense, since asking angels to guide you in traveling whilst they are present and delegated with this specific task, as per the hadith, isn't shirki istighatha in the first place. So the issue of udhr is completely irrelevant to that example. Oh, well, tell Ibn Hussein, because Ibn Hussein says there's an excuse of ignorance here. Okay, so istighatha to angels, no problem. This is allowed. Why? This is not istighatha in the technical sense. Okay, so you redefined istighatha. Before, there wasn't such nuance and technicality. They just said istighatha, meaning seeking help from a supernatural source, from an unseen source. That's what they were going with. But then when the Imam Ahmad example comes in, they say, no. What Imam Ahmad did is not istighatha in the way that we mean it. What Imam Ahmad did, yeah, it's istighatha in the linguistic sense, in the lughawi sense, but it's not the istighatha that we have a problem with. We have a problem with istighatha when you ask the dead, because the dead, they don't have the power like angels have the power. So that's why what Imam Ahmad did, it's not even shirk. We don't even need udhr. We don't even need to excuse Imam Ahmad. He did nothing wrong. Imam Ahmad did nothing wrong. So this is what, this was the main response that came out. And all of these guys were retweeting it and quote tweeting it and saying, oh, see, Daniel, see, you're ignorant. But in reality, yes, fall into my trap. Come into my trap. So then I respond to this guy. Yeah, I say, okay, this is progress. I don't believe in calling out to angels for help, and I think that this is haram. Okay, it's informative, however, that you think that calling out to angels is halal, and it's not, in no way is it forbidden shirk. So you believe it's permissible to call out to angels for help when you're lost, and that this is not in any way shirk. I'm curious as to other situations. As you know, there's much evidence that angels can help in battles, as Allah says in the Quran. When you begged your Lord for help, He answered you, I'll reinforce you with 1,000 angels in succession. Angels also punish evildoers, as mentioned in the Quran. If only you could see when the angels take the souls of the disbelievers, how they strike their faces and backs, it will be said, taste the punishment of the fire. Angels can also protect an individual from danger, as said in the Quran. And indeed, over you are appointed angels and guardians. Angels also ask forgiveness for humans. As mentioned in the Quran, those angels who carry the throne and those who surround it celebrate the praise of their Lord and have faith in Him. They beg forgiveness for the believers. Our Lord, you embrace all things in mercy and knowledge, so forgive those who turn to you and follow your path. Save them from the pains of hell. Some scholars also argue that angels direct the rain. Do you believe it's halal to call out to angels for help in battle, to punish evildoers, to protect from danger, to ask forgiveness on one's behalf, and to bring rain? Are these acts of shirk? Because these are all things that Allah has given the angels the ability to do. And when you're trying to excuse Imam Ahmad, you said that, well, this is not istighatha, because these are things that the angels can do to guide. And so there's no problem with Imam Ahmad calling to them. Perhaps you'll say these things are forbidden because God has not explicitly permitted them. He has only permitted calling out to angels for help if one is lost, but not calling out to them to help one in battle or to punish evildoers. Understood. These acts are haram because they're not explicitly permitted. But do you consider them shirk? That's the question. And if you say they're not shirk, is it simply because Allah has not permitted them? If that is your view, then your concept of shirk is not calling out to unseen supernatural beings other than Allah. Rather, it's calling out to them without Allah's permission. As a consequence, you would not consider it shirk to call out for help to angels, jinn, and dead humans if Allah permitted it. So this is the trap, basically. And they fell right into the trap. Because, yeah, if you want to say that what Imam Ahmad did is not shirk because the angels have the ability, well, angels have a lot of abilities that Allah has granted them. So it shouldn't be shirk to ask an angel, oh, angels, punish these evildoers. Oh, angels, forgive me, right? Oh, angels, bring rain. These wouldn't be considered shirk. These wouldn't be considered shirk, according to this logic. So then you have all of these Salafis coming out, and suddenly they are... Look at this. Making istighatha through the malaika would be permissible if you're asking them to do something within the abilities Allah gave them. And there is an authentic athar confirming it. I think DH understands this distinction but doesn't want to admit he is wrong. Oh, so this is news to me. This is news that, oh, now we can make dua to angels. That's what dua is, right? You're calling and you're asking for something. You're seeking something. Like for guidance, like if you're lost. So yeah, making dua to angels is perfectly allowed. These are the Aqidah warriors that understand Tawheed, that understand Tawheed so much. And then, so I was responding in the reply, and I say, what way did Imam Ahmad and Ibn Taymiyyah do Istighatha if not the way these people do it? So that's what they were saying, like some of the replies. Some of the Salafis were saying that, no, Daniel, what Imam Ahmad did or what Ibn Taymiyyah affirmed, that's not the same as Istighatha that these Quburi Sufis are doing. This is completely different. It's completely different. They're doing something that's halal. They're doing, Imam Ahmad is doing something that's completely okay. It's not shirk. And so I say, please tell me more about this halal Istighatha. and this joke, Bunkatella comes in, here you go, Dan. Here you go. And he links that thread that says there's nothing wrong with Istighatha to angels because the angels specifically have the ability to do that, and we have hadith. Well, I showed you all of these ayat about things that angels can do. So this is halal Istighatha, calling to angels. So, and then he quote tweeted it as well. He said, your question is answered at the link in the thread below. This is common knowledge. It's common knowledge you can call to angels for these needs. It's common knowledge to make dua to them. Even to beginning students of knowledge, everyone knows this. So you're either playing dumb or you're extremely ignorant. In either case, you should stop speaking about these topics and making a fool of yourself. If you want to keep yapping, then answer this question. Is calling upon the dead for help from your bedroom shirk or not? So yeah, he doesn't realize that he's fallen into the trap and he's conceding things that he shouldn't be conceding. This is insane. This is crazy to say that, to see no problem with making dua to angels. And so he has multiple tweets like this. And the funny thing is that the arrogance of this guy, the arrogance is, even basic students of knowledge, even the beginners know that this is halal to call to angels, to make dua to angels. This is halal, obviously. You must be extremely ignorant, Dan. Oh man, these are the Aqidah warriors. So then I say, was Imam Ahmad a mushrik for calling out to unseen beings other than Allah for help? Yes or no? Okay, so I'm just emphasizing this. And they want to say, no, obviously not. Imam Ahmad wasn't a mushrik. And then this guy, the original guy says, if something is alive, it's able and can hear you, then it isn't shirk to call upon it. Ahmad was in that situation, seeing as he relied on a hadith which just established for him the existence of angels who in that particular situation could hear and help. Nothing wrong with what Imam Ahmad did. Like that's completely allowed because the angels are alive. Like these are the three conditions that they keep spamming. The angels are alive, they're able, they have the ability to help, and they can hear you. This is completely different from other situations. So this is halal. This is allowed. There's no problem. This is not shirk. And you can see Jake retweeting it. So imagine like the issue here, like just to take a step back and take stock of everything that we're seeing here. They are unprepared for this scenario. I think that they had never heard of it. But they're in such a rush to paint me as ignorant and deviant that they're tripping over themselves and just making it up as they go along. But the problem is when you make it up as you go along, you make mistakes and you haven't thought a step ahead or 2 steps ahead. So you just fall into this trap that I'm like laying before you. You're saying that they didn't realize what they're saying. If they step back, and that's the thing, they backtracked. They walked all of this back because of how ridiculous it is. You're saying making dua, instead of making dua to Allah, make dua to angels. There's nothing wrong with that. That's shocking. That's shocking. And whoever said that this is halal, whoever said that, even if it's not shirk, is it halal? And Imam Ahmad, okay, he had, that's the whole point of, that's the whole point of not saying that this is shirk. Istighatha is shirk in all cases. We have to be nuanced about this. There are other factors that determine if this is full-blown shirk or not. My position, if you remember from the beginning, I could say that what Imam Ahmad did was a mistake. He had the incorrect ijtihad and he made a mistake. But as I've said, this is not full-blown shirk because there are other factors. It's an angel. It's a specific situation. There is a narration. It's that those factors mean that it's not like shirk in the same way as other things could be shirk based on other factors. So I can say Imam Ahmad didn't commit shirk. This is a mistaken ijtihad. And other scholars, like when we quote some of the other ulama, like Suyuti, for example, or Imam Nawawi, these are things that they're different. Ikhtilaf, the scholars differed, and we take one position and we don't take the other position. We don't take the position of Imam Ahmad on this practice of calling to angels when you're lost. We don't take from him. Maybe he made a mistake, and we speak very respectfully. We speak very, who are we? Like Imam Ahmad, Imam Nawawi, Imam Al-Ghazali, Ibn Taymiyyah. Who are we to talk about these a'imma, right? But, we know that the scholars differed and sometimes we take one position over another, right? But if you want to take this Salafi stance that this is always shirk no matter what, then it causes this dilemma. Because not only with those other Sunni imams, but even Imam Ahmad, which you claim to follow, even Imam Ahmad has fallen into shirk by that standard. So then you have to start, oh, but no, there's this exception, there's that exception. It's halal to make dua to angels. So then this guy, Jake, says, still trying to dodge, I see, Danny boy. Your foolish argument was already answered several times, which I posted in my original tweet to you on the subject. So no, it's not kufr or shirk to ask for help of someone who is alive, present, and capable, as Imam Ahmed did with the angels. It's not. It's just perfectly fine. Now stop dodging and answer the question that everyone has been asking you. Is it kufr or shirk to call upon the dead for help from far away or not? Now notice that their question is becoming more specific. Why? Because originally the question was, is istighatha shirk in general? Remember, that was the original tweet of Daniel falling into kufr, is that Daniel is not takfiring everyone who does istighatha. Then they have to nuance it and say, no, istighatha, we're not going to ask you if istighatha is shirk. We're going to ask you, is istighatha specifically for dead people? And notice the other qualification, from far away. From far away. So I guess he was cued in or clued in by some of the people who are feeding him stuff offline that, Jake, phrase the question like this, because when it comes to dead people, if you're at the grave of the dead person and you're asking, well, there's some ikhtilaf there. So don't commit yourself to saying that asking dead people, mutlaqan, like in general, is shirk. Like otherwise Daniel is going to pin you on that. So make sure to qualify and say, oh, from far away. And they're hoping that some of these ignoramuses, their followers, won't notice how they're shifting the question. Originally, the question was, is istighatha mutlaqan, like istighatha as all shirk or not? Then I showed, what about Imam Ahmed? Oh, okay, well, istighatha is not, the angels, that's not real istighatha, so that's perfectly fine. But we're specifically talking about dead people. And they're, not just dead people, but dead people from far away. If you're at the grave, we're not asking about at the grave or not. So these are the games that they play, and they think we're stupid. They think we don't notice how they're making it up as they go along. You're dodging. You're a coward who doesn't want to alienate himself from his audience because you care more about your status and income than the Quran and Sunnah. Keep running, Danny boy. Oh, what a clown. What a clown this guy is. So then this other moron, Ibn Hussein, this is almost surreal. This jahil, meaning me, thinks his opponents believe that there are certain circumstances where one can pray, ! To other than Allah, not understanding that the very act of praying is worship. Thus, praying to the living, the dead, the angels, Ali, Jilani, Fatima, Mary, Jesus, etc., all of that is shirk. He was refuted on the Imam Ahmed and angels shubha, which has nothing to do with praying, what Quburis do when they literally pray to their saints as Muslims pray to Allah, but he pretends as if nothing happened. How was I refuted? The refutation said that this is allowed. The refutation said that you guys all reposted or retweeted, said that this is not istighatha. This is something that's allowed, to call for angels to guide you when you're lost. So which is it? So he's saying that calling to angels, that's shirk. Well, that's exactly what Imam Ahmed did. He called to them. He called to unseen beings. He didn't see the angels. He didn't see the angels. He just called to them. And he didn't actually say angels. He called to, oh, slaves of Allah, when he was alone. So it could be, it's your interpretation that was angels. Maybe it could also be jinn. So if that's shirk, then you're accusing Imam Ahmed of committing shirk. And by your logic, that makes him a mushrik. So they can't so they're contradicting themselves. They're contradicting. He's saying that praying to angels, this is shirk. You can ask them for guidance. Usually you ask Allah for guidance. If you're lost, oh Allah, guide me. Oh Allah, allow me to get home. Oh Allah, I've lost something. Allow me to find it. These are all dua to Allah. If you ask an angel, then that's the dua to an angel, not Allah. So no consistency from these people, right? So it's not kufr or shirk to ask someone for help ask for help of someone who is alive, present, and capable, as Imam Ahmed did with angels. It's not kufr or shirk. But Ibn Hussein says it is shirk. It is shirk if you are praying to angels. So the contradictions are astounding. Okay, then this is Asim al-Hakim, who's been getting a lot of heat the past few days because of the whole Syria situation. But now he's asked on this question. Ruling on calling, O servants of Allah, jinn and angels, help me.
Nishan from India says, what's the ruling on saying, Ya ibadallah a'inuni? What's the ruling if we are in a desert, stranded, or we're lost, and we say, O servants of Allah, help me? Oh, look right, there's nobody there. Look left, there's nobody there. So who am I calling? Yeah, I'm calling the jinn, or I'm calling the angels. To do what? To guide me. Okay, this is shirk. What are you?
It's shirk. It's shirk. So he's saying that Imam Ahmed committed shirk, right?
Talking about. Yeah, but it's an issue of dispute among scholars. There's a hadith about Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma. Imam Ahmed said so and so. Akhi, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you can ask the jinn to guide you when you are lost and stranded in desert, might as well ask them to show you where the things that were stolen from you, or to help you in operating while opening someone's stomach to operate on him, or do this. All of this is shirk. We don't ask anyone from the world of the unseen except Allah Azza wa Jal. We don't even ask Jibreel, peace be upon him. We ask only Allah. And asking anyone else as such, saying, "O servants of Allah, help me," and there's no one, and you're claiming to call the jinn or call the angels, this is totally prohibited and shirk. Mustafa.
All right, there you go. It's totally prohibited. It's totally shirk. I'll agree, and I'll say, yeah, it's prohibited. Is it shirk? There are nuances. There are complexities. It's definitely impermissible. Does it reach the level of full-blown shirk, like the person praying to Brahma or Lat and Uzza? No. Could it potentially be shirk? Yes. But is it the same as that kind of shirk? No. That's what I say, and what I already said about Imam Ahmad. But they're contradicting themselves. They're contradicting themselves. Ibn Hussein says, yeah, this is all this is shirk, very clearly shirk. Jake says, no, this is not kufr or shirk. What Imam Ahmad did with the angels, that's not kufr or shirk. This guy says, if something is alive, able, and can hear you, then it isn't shirk. This is like beginning students of knowledge know that it's not shirk. This is halal istighatha. Here you go. There are, making istighatha through the malaika is permissible. Look at how, with what authority each of them says, with such authority. So clear cut, each one of them, all of their statements. And this is like the mental problem that many of them have, is that everything is like this binary. And everything is clear cut, and it's a binary. And oftentimes they're just ignorant of a long history of debate and discussion. And they've just studied like a few slogans. Some of them, a small minority, might have actually taken a class or sat with a scholar and gone through anything of substance. But even them who have taken classes, it's just like slogans, snippets, and they haven't actually engaged with the larger topic, the larger debate. If they had, they would know about this Imam Ahmad issue. And they wouldn't come out and start talking in a clear-cut way and saying, stupid stuff like, oh, even the beginners know this. Even the beginners have studied this. You're so ignorant, Daniel. It gets even crazier if you can believe this. It gets even crazier. Did you ever think that you'd see Salafis saying that Istighatha to the angels is permissible? You learn something new every day. So then I said, okay, question. Suppose a person goes into his bathroom and then says, "Oh, jinn, you lowly, damned and lowly creatures, get out of my toilet." Is he worshipping the jinn by calling upon them with a request? Does this make him a kafir mushrik? If not, explain why not. Okay, so this is a natural question to ask, because if you look at their previous statements, they're saying if something is alive, able, and can hear you, then it's not shirk to call upon them. And Jake reposted this. Okay, well, that's not just limited to angels. There's also jinn. So jinn, we know, sometimes they can be in bathrooms, so they can hear you. They're alive. These jinn are alive, and they're able to leave. So that meets all the three requirements. So you can make requests of these jinn. Oh, jinn, leave the bathroom. This is a dua. This is a dua, right? Because you're making a request of an unseen being. Remember, some of them defined it as that. That's what istighatha, that's what dua is. So this is what one person immediately comes out and says. Yes, they have the ability and they are present. Precisely why it isn't the same as calling upon dead saints. Are you that stupid? I'm the stupid one. So yeah, they have the ability and they're present, so no problem. Just call. You can make requests like leave the bathroom, do this or do that. So then this moron mocks it. He says, "Is it Daniel? Is it shirk to say get out of the bathroom, you jinn?" No, because you're in a normal situation, telling the jinn to do something it normally can do. You're not begging it to bestow rizq or children. Okay, so like in the mind of this guy, okay, if you ask, like istighatha means specifically asking for rizq or asking for children. This shows like he's completely clueless, because obviously there are different kinds of requests that you can make. There are different kinds of dua that you can make. And in a sahih hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says that even make dua for salt for your food. Make dua to Allah, even if you need salt. So even for mundane things, you should make dua. If you need a strap for your sandal, if you need a strap for your shoes, make dua to Allah, even for the smallest things. That's the beauty of Islam. We ask Allah for all of our needs, from the biggest to the smallest. But that's all dua, and that's all worship. If you say, "Oh, jinn, bring me some salt," according to this idiot, oh, that's not like asking for rizq or for children. So what's the problem? What's the problem with that? So, but the point is that you're calling to the unseen, and you're calling to jinn for something that you need. That's not problematic to you? And he can't say that it's problematic because he just got finished saying that, oh, well, I only have three requirements. They're alive, they can hear you, and they're able. And that's unproblematic. It's not shirk. Okay, well, then you can ask jinn for a lot of things. Just like we went through a list of all the abilities that angels have and all of the things that the angels do in dunya. The jinn also have many abilities, as we'll see. And then this guy, Jake, says, you're looking ridiculous now. Asking a jinn in your bathroom to leave is somehow equivalent to praying to dead saints from thousands of miles away and asking them directly to provide you with rizq, heal you, grant you children, etc. One is alive, present, and has the ability required to respond. Meaning jinn. Jinn are alive, they're present, and they have the ability to respond. But the other is dead, absent, and does not have the ability to grant your request. Also, one is a mundane action of leaving a bathroom, and another is attributing to creation what is rightly due to Allah alone. Mundane action. So there are dua specifically for Allah to protect you from jinn who may be in the outhouse or the bathroom. There are specific dua for that. أعوذ بالله من الخبث والخبائث. I seek refuge in Allah from the khubath and the khaba'ith, meaning the male and the female jinn, the filthy jinn. This is something that every Muslim knows. But these guys, this is a mundane action. This is not a religious thing. This is not something that is relevant. You don't see the difference between calling to a saint and calling to jinn. How like I never expected them to fall so spectacularly into this trap, and how to failing so spectacularly in these mistakes. Like, these are the Aqidah experts. These are the people who want to teach the rest of us about Aqidah. There's no problem. The jinn is alive and can hear you and has the ability. So yeah, make any kind of request that you want. It's no problem. The real problem, what really is the difference, what really makes something shirk, is a saint who's dead. Well, you understand that the body of a saint is dead, but the soul is not dead. The soul is alive in the barzakh, first of all. So already you're strawmanning the other side. So that's the first point. Also, the ability to hear. These are all debated issues. And ability. These are all debated issues. And I agree that, again, as I said, some of these actions do reach the level of shirk. But there are all these nuances. There are all these complexities. Which is why we can't just say all istighatha, mutlaqan, regardless, unqualifiedly, all istighatha is shirk. That's why we can't do it. Including istighatha to dead saints, including that. But they say, no. What determines something is shirk or not shirk is these three factors. It has to be alive, can hear you, and has to be able to fulfill the task. Okay, if anything that has those three qualities, calling to that entity is not shirk, okay, then explain this. Jinn also have the ability to bring objects in response to requests, like thrones, like in the story of Sulaiman. They can bring thrones. They can bring objects. So is it shirk if a person on a sinking ship calls out, "Oh, jinn, save me," by bringing me a boat or a life raft? So someone's in the middle of the ocean and there's a storm and they're about to drown, and they say, "Oh, jinn," rather than calling to Allah, "Oh, jinn, bring me a raft, bring me a life vest." Is that allowed? Because the jinn, we know that the jinn sometimes are in the ocean. And we know that it's possible for the angels or for the jinn to be around the ocean, so they can hear you. They're present, and they're alive, and they have the ability, just like they can bring a throne, they can also bring a life vest, or they can bring a raft or another ship. So is that shirk? Is there anything wrong with this? Because you just finished telling us that there's nothing. This is not even haram. There's nothing wrong. This is just mundane things. You're not asking for rizq. You're not asking for children. You're not asking for forgiveness. You're asking for a life vest. It's just an object. Is this shirk? Apparently, many of you supposed Salafis actually don't consider it shirk to call out for help to angels and jinn. You only believe that calling out to the dead is shirk. It's increasingly clear that I'm actually far more Salafi than these Salafi critics, because I think all this is haram. And in some cases, it's full-blown shirk to call out to jinn or angels or dead humans. So you've fallen into my trap. You've fallen into the trap and you've made idiots of yourselves. So alhamdulillah, this is when you are arrogant and you're just attacking people nonstop and you're calling them all kinds of names. It's gonna happen. It's gonna come back and bite you in the rear. So then this guy responds, "You absolute nutcase! Saying to a jinn in the bathroom, 'Get out,' isn't the same as being in a sinking ship. And in this most desperate situation, you forsake Allah and start praying to jinn which you don't even know if they're present or can hear you." Yeah, but what if someone is drowning in their bathroom? They're like in their tub, and they're drowning in their hot tub in the bathroom. Why can't they call out to the jinn? The jinn could be present in the bathroom, as we know from hadith. The jinn could be present, they can hear you, and they're able to bring you like a life vest in the tub. So the reason that he's in this dilemma is because he was so strong in saying that, no, what Imam Ahmad did is not shirk, and calling to the angels to get out of the bathroom is not shirk. It's clearly not shirk because the jinn are alive, they can hear you, and they're capable. Okay, well, I'm just asking for exactly that scenario. You're drowning in the tub, in the bathroom. So then he tries to get himself out of this hole. For Daniel's knowledge, when we call dua to other than Allah shirk, we are speaking about dua in a religious context. Linguistically, saying jinn, get out of the bathroom, or mom, make me a sandwich is a form of calling. But obviously, that's not being condemned as shirk in the ayat we cite. So if you're in the bathroom calling to jinn to save me, I'm drowning, that's not shirk. That's not a religious context. The Quran is addressing the religious type of dua. Oh, okay, so now there's all kinds of nuances. Is it a religious dua or not a religious dua? Religious dua means when you're asking for forgiveness and for rizq and for children, that's religious dua. But other dua, like if you ask for salt, like the Prophet ﷺ said, or you ask for something else, that's not a religious context. The context is kuffar calling upon others, like how one should call upon God, requesting from them like how one is supposed to request from God, and or people taking these false gods as intermediaries, intercessors. The context is not about saying, get out of the bathroom, you jinn, or asking a doctor for medicine. You can ask for, why not ask the jinn for medicine? Like you have like, I don't know, cancer or AIDS or COVID. Say, oh jinn, bring me COVID medicine, bring me the vaccine, oh jinn. Why not? You know, the jinn can hear you. He's able to bring you items and he's alive. So that's for healing. You're asking for healing. Wrecked. These guys are wrecked. And then this contradicts what he has said earlier in other contexts. He's talking about to someone else saying, this fool is saying I can make dua to other than Allah because I'm not worshiping them. Facepalm. He doesn't know that dua is worship. Okay, so now all dua is worship. So if you make dua to other than Allah, that is shirk, clearly. But then when you get him in this trap about calling to the jinn, he says, no, that's not religious. That's not religious dua. That's another type of dua. That's not the dua that's condemned in the Quran. But you just said, or you've always been saying that dua is worship. Dua is worship. Okay, so if you call to angels or you call to jinn, that is worship. Therefore, it should be automatically shirk according to your logic. That's what you want to say to the Sufis. So this is so confused and backward. So then I started clowning on them. 2024 update to Kitab at-Tawheed. Oh jinn, bring me gold and riches. And the joke says, this is not shirk because Genie is alive. He can hear Aladdin and he has the power to fulfill the wish. He's alive. He has the power. He can hear. Anyone who studies Aqidah knows this. This is basics. This is beginner knowledge. This is not shirk. And then you're, oh angels, oh jinn, save me. Stupid quburis. This is not shirk at all because angels and jinn are alive. They can hear and they have the power. So anyway, this is what you gotta do. You have to clown these people because they're so arrogant and they want to accuse you. Remember, this guy, this is the guy. This is the proving something guy. This is the guy who is saying I'm falling into kufr and is basically takfiring me. Not explicitly, but he's implying that I'm a kafir. This is, and his followers are saying, like, people were asking his followers. So imagine you have a transgender who is doing all kinds of pornography online, gay pornography. He's transgender, but he believes that all cases of istighatha are clear-cut shirk. Is that transgender better than Daniel? And these followers of this guy are saying, yeah, of course. Of course he's better than Daniel because he has the right aqidah. And I don't want to show the screenshot because it's a little bit lewd. And we want to keep this a family-friendly episode. So this is like, you just have to clown these people. But this is how confused they are. Like, so many of these guys, these Salafis, have been takfiring me. They've been takfiring me. They've called me a mushrik. They've saying I'm falling into kufr. I've fallen into shirk. I'm a jahil. I'm ignorant. These homosexual, transgender porn stars are better than me if they have the correct aqidah. We all know it can take you out of the fold of Islam. Even Haqiqatjou admitted to it. So this is another confusion. Jake says, that's not the question. How many times do I have to say that? The question is whether Dan considers the common forms of istighatha practice to be shirk akbar or not. I'm not asking whether the person is takfired or not. I'm asking if the act and belief in it is shirk akbar or not. So first of all, you guys remember their whole original tweet that I responded to is saying that it's shirk akbar, and whoever doubts that this doing istighatha is shirk akbar, he himself is a mushrik kafir, right? That was the whole conversation. But then when I pointed out some of these narrations from Imam Ahmed and asked these questions about angels and jinn, and suddenly, oh, no, we're not talking about takfir. We're not talking about takfir anymore. We just want to know if this is shirk akbar. And this is the ignorance of Jake as well, because according to the scholars, many of the scholars in his own manhaj, meaning this kind of Salafi Wahhabi manhaj, shirk akbar means you're out of Islam. You're basically like a pagan mushrik Qurayshi Arab. You're basically like a pagan Hindu praying to Brahma and Shiva and Vishnu. Shirk, that's what shirk akbar means. That in the terminology specifically of the manhaj he claims to follow. But he has no clue. He has no clue. and he pretends like we haven't been talking about takfir. Yeah, takfir was a big part. It wasn't the whole conversation. It was a big part of the whole beginning of this conversation, and they only shifted away from that after they got curb stomped on the Imam Ahmed issue, on the angels issue, on the jinn issue, what Jake called halal istighatha. So this indicates very clearly that Jake doesn't know what he's talking about. And now he has to kind of backtrack and pretend like, no, that's not what I meant, Daniel. If you had a beginner understanding. Bro, I was studying these books and these issues before you were even Muslim. Before you were even Muslim, I was studying all this stuff. Maybe even almost a decade before. So try to reduce the condescension maybe a little bit. Know your place. So yeah, the whole conversation was about takfir, but even if it's not, be honest, Jake. Be honest. Do accuse Imam Ahmed of shirk akbar. Accuse Imam Suyuti, Imam Ghazali, Fakhruddin al-Razi, Imam al-Nawawi, on and on. Accuse all of them of committing shirk akbar. If you're consistent. Because they all had these views on Istighatha that you can look at and read. Forget, and then how about saying something about these Gulf rulers maybe? that would be good too, actually. See? Daniel falls into kufr. It's obligatory for you to takfir who Allah has takfired. Those who commit shirk in Allah. So yeah, this was always the conversation. And I make this broader point, okay? The ignorance and dishonesty of madkhalis like Jake. They've accused me of falling into kufr. I responded. And then they spammed under my post, do you think Istighatha is shirk or not? Do you think it's shirk or not? They kept spamming this question and demanding an answer because they think it's a trap for me. In reality, they fell into my trap. They only revealed how ignorant on this issue they really are. The reality is Istighatha has many types. As such, there are many possible rulings depending on the type. All those factors that we listed at the beginning of the show. In all matters of haram and halal, there are gray areas. The Prophet ﷺ said, both legal and illegal things are obvious, and in between them are doubtful matters. So whoever forsakes those doubtful things, lest he may commit a sin, will definitely avoid what is clearly illegal. And whoever indulges in these doubtful things bravely is likely to commit what is clearly illegal. Sins are Allah's himma, meaning private pasture, and whoever pastures his sheep near it is likely to get in it at any moment. It's hadith in Sahih Bukhari. For example, drinking alcohol is clearly haram, but what about eating food that has been cooked in alcohol? Or what about drinks that are slightly fermented and have traces of alcohol but aren't considered alcoholic? When it comes to drinking khamar and alcohol, that's clearly haram, but there are these other border cases, these other gray areas, and when it comes to these gray areas, ulama are going to have different rulings based on their different usul. And the same is the case with istighatha. There's going to be different gradations, different rulings, and we should respect that. Some actions are clearly shirk. Others are not so clear. Others, there might be other circumstances that make it not shirk. So when it comes to these gradations, we should respect a difference of opinion. But because these sectarians are so blinded by their hate, they just want a binary issue. It is either shirk or it's not shirk. That's why they had so much problem with the Imam Ahmed example. They don't want to say, well, Imam Ahmed is somewhere in between in this gray area. They want to say, no, he didn't do anything wrong, and there's no problem with this behavior of calling out to angels because of this binary thinking. But if you understand that, okay, there are different rulings, you can say that, well, there's ikhtilaf on this, and we don't agree with one scholar's interpretation, and maybe he had an excuse. That kind of luxury that you have, that's only a luxury if you admit that there are these gray areas. But if you want to have a strict binary, and you want to start attacking other Muslims, and you want to throw them out of Islam, or you want to throw them off of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, you have a binary, and you say, oh, no, Imam Ahmed, there's nothing wrong with what he did. This is completely normal. This is fine. That leads you into a huge dilemma and into a huge trap. This was my whole point, to show that there are gray areas in the matter of istighatha, and it can't be reduced to a simple binary of shirk versus non-shirk. And that came out. When it came to angels, when it came to jinn, they had all of these nuances and complexities and exceptions. And why did they get into that kind of nuance? Because they were pressed with an example that they couldn't just reduce to, oh, this is shirk. Imam Ahmed committed shirk. That's the kind of boneheadedness that they have with other Muslims, other Sunnis. That is the kind of binary that they apply. But when it's someone from their own school, from their own camp, then, oh, suddenly it's complicated. Oh, suddenly there are excuses. Oh, there are gradations. There are nuances, complexities. This is a double standard. You should have the same kind of nuance when it comes to the Sufis, when it comes to Ash'ari, when it comes to the entire Islamic tradition. And that's the kind of nuance that you actually do see from a great scholar like Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. When you actually do read his work, you see these nuances and these gradations. You do see that. That's not the kind of nuance that Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab had and his followers have had, unfortunately. They claim that they're following Ibn Taymiyyah, but they're very far from Shaykh al-Islam, actually. So then there's another gotcha that they had. They really got me on another issue. So they dug up this clip. They said, is what your shaykh, this is what Jake says, is what your shaykh, the one you recommended to your audience, said in the clip, shirk akbar or not? Stop waffling and telling us that there are different ruling for different cases. We're giving you a clear, specific case. So is what your shaykh said here, shirk akbar or not? Oh, we got Daniel. So here, let's listen to this. And so he is very knowledgeable and he is very authentic, mashallah. So he is someone that I recommend, Sheikh Salek.
هل يجوز سؤال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم قضاء الحوائج مباشرة بدون أن نقول اللهم إنا نتوسل لك بنبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم بأن نقول له يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اقضي حوائجنا.
So that's the distinction between tawassul and istighatha. If you ask, oh Allah, I ask you through your messenger, that's tawassul. But what about asking the Prophet ﷺ directly? Grant us what we desire.
ما نريد مباشرة direct مباشرة هل هذا جائز أم لا؟ نعم هذا لا يختلف فيه أحد من علماء السنة لا يختلف فيه أحد من علماء السنة قبل مجيء ابن تيمية لا يختلف فيه علماء السنة على الإطلاق.
Okay, so asking the Prophet ﷺ directly, and they said, Daniel, this is the sheikh that you recommended. So what do you have to say to this now? What do you have to say to this now? So then here's my answer. I said, watch, as I answer Jake's question, but he refuses to answer mine. Is what the sheikh said shirk akbar taking him out of Islam? No, not obviously. It depends on what he means by asking directly, what needs are being asked, and what ta'wil he has for what he is asking. So these are the factors I mentioned at the beginning. Is it shirk akbar? Is it clear-cut shirk? I think it's haram. I think that this is something that is dangerous, and it could potentially be shirk. It could potentially be shirk, depending on these other factors. But is it shirk akbar? Is it shirk akbar like the shirk of someone who's praying to Brahma? Someone who is praying to Lat and Uzza? It's not obvious to me that that's the case. It's not obvious that that's the case. Do I agree with such a practice? Absolutely not. It's at the very least haram and potentially leads to shirk and should be avoided. These are crucial nuances a beginner like Jake is ignorant of, which is why he runs his mouth and makes ridiculous admissions like his claim that dua to angels instead of Allah is perfectly halal. The standard that I have in avoiding takfir when there are excuses and salient factors is the standard of Sunni Islam, and I apply it consistently to many groups, including modern-day Muslim rulers. But if you're going to accuse Sheikh Salek of shirk akbar and say that he is out of Islam, then be consistent and takfir the Gulf rulers building Hindu temples. Stop pretending like you're a principled Aqidah warrior. You're only bark against easy targets, but you won't open your mouth against rulers doing far more egregious things that contradict your purported standards. Has MBZ committed shirk akbar by building a Hindu temple? Yes or no? Stop dodging. And of course, Jake has never answered this question. Jake has never answered this question. He ignores it. Even when I posted it under his tweet. He doesn't answer this question. I answered your question, Jake. So the bigger story about this is I didn't know when I recommended Sheikh Salek that he has these views. And his own closest students did not know that he had this view. And when he started making these statements, a lot of his students left him, and a lot of his students started denouncing him. A lot of his students started denouncing him. This was way after I recommended him. And then he passed away. He passed away. He's no longer, he's with Allah. So may Allah have mercy on him. But this is not a gotcha. This is not a gotcha. This is a gotcha for the people like Jake. So are you saying that Sheikh Salek committed shirk akbar? That means his blood is halal? That means he's a murtad, his blood is halal, according to you? Go ahead and say that. Not only him, but his students. His students who are following him, you're going to do takfir of them as well? That's what it means when you accuse someone of shirk akbar, according to your manhaj. Yeah, I know that there is differences on what is shirk akbar, whether that means that the person who does it is a mushrik, or are there excuses. That some scholars say that. Other scholars, like Fawzan in the clip that you were also referencing, say that there is no excuse. There is absolutely no excuse. And anyone who doubts the shirk of this person who is teaching istighatha or doing istighatha, he himself is also a kafir. That is the whole discussion. That's why they're accusing me. Your buddies were accusing me of falling into kufr. So tell us, Jake, first start with MBZ. Has he committed shirk akbar? You're the Aqidah so important, right? So these rulers are they committing shirk akbar when they're building Hindu temples and they're celebrating Christmas and putting up Christmas decorations and holidays and all of this? Are they committing any kind of haram shirk or not? That's question number one. Question number two is about all of these great ai who said that istighatha is permissible. Are they kafir mushrik? Question number three is about Sheikh Salek and his followers. Question number four is about the rest of the ummah who is not doing takfir, who doesn't consider these great ai that I mentioned earlier in that earlier thread as being kafir mushrik. Are they kafir mushrik? Stop hiding your takfir. Stop hiding your accusation that the entire ummah is either involved in shirk or condones shirk. Go ahead and make takfir of all of the, because the official fatwa of Darul Ifta of Azhar University in Egypt, their official fatwa is that istighatha is haram, not shirk. The official fatwa of Deoband as well is that istighatha is haram. It's not shirk. Go ahead and say that they have denied something that's shirk akbar, therefore they have fallen into kufr. Go ahead and say that. That's what all of your friends are accusing me. That's what, and I'm the ignorant one. All Darul Ifta is ignorant, I guess. Darul Uloom Deoband is ignorant, I guess. Everyone who follows these schools are ignorant, I guess. Because again, this is the majority position, that it's haram, it's not shirk. So accuse them. Go ahead and accuse them. And then if you're going to accuse Sheikh Salek of shirk akbar, then acknowledge that there is no excuse, there's no other for shirk akbar. We'll see if he answers even one of these questions. I'm not holding my breath. Not holding my breath because he does. He's going out there and takfiring Andrew Tate, a new Muslim. Like he's completely clueless on the fiqh of takfir. He's just learning as he goes along. So he has to go back and ask some people, and go and troll some of these forums and try to figure out an answer, and then come back with his refutation. So that is that.